you know, we didn't have no grass that year. Boy, everybody in body bag. We put one in a helicopter, they went up in circles. Always. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. I'll wait.
What you at home? Yeah, fine.
But you can only get one body. Right. So.
They're good. They live. Yeah. Wait for the house to be ready.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Sam is coming.
Okay. Wait just a minute.
That one, I mean, that's right. We can't get away with our state. No, we
I don't know.
So, the other,
I texted Kara and she said they had too much to do for football.
they were invited.
Yeah.
Hey, Sam.
Let me just say, so this is a work study, see where we're at, where we're trying to get to, and, we'll go from there, so, we'll go ahead and open the meeting, and what I'm saying, I'm okay with just letting Kenny handle it, or you?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the purpose here is just to be able to have a discussion about, what the options are as it relates to junior pro football. So we don't have to necessarily hash it out in the city meeting. No vote can happen, nothing tonight. This is just a work session only. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to you, Kenny.
Like I said, this is the first of a kind for us. We're kind of hashing out some things before we get into the thing where we'd actually vote. And probably the impetus for talking about this now is some of the options that we might consider involve sowing grass. Prime time to sow grass during the year is in September and October. So what I hope for is that whatever we decide, we don't miss that window for sowing grass, okay? Like Chip said, this is for information for y'all. We're here to explain it where you can make the best decision that you think for the city. These folks are here because they're interested. And if you want them to add something to it or enlighten us in some way, you ask them. Because there's no comment unless you're asked to do it. Okay, that's the way these meetings work. Like I say, it's just for them to learn more about it, so we don't have a 2-hour meeting on the first Thursday of the month when we're here at 9:30. We don't like to do that. We don't have to. Just a little backstory to where we're at, how we got there. Junior Pro started out at an elementary school, moved to the high school, and a couple of years ago, it became apparent that Junior Pro was on the move, needed to move, and we talked about where that leads us. We always want to make sure that we support the youth in our community. That's something that this board is always hoping to do. We are an organization that if you come from outside the city limits across the plains, you come from out in the county or Wilmington, we don't charge you any more than what we charge one of ours inside the city. we consider ourselves to be East Rockland School. If you go to White House and play, if you're outside the city limits, you pay it. We don't do that. So we want to make sure we always are producing a place for kids to grow, play, and learn. With that said, several years ago, when we set this park up in the early 2000s, we sat down with a consultant and we mapped out everything about where we would thought everything would go. Our priority then was baseball. And we got the funds, we built the fields down there. You can see those three big rocks below the playground. They came out of that field and ring it. So there's still one out there, not that. So our priority was baseball. We built those fields, and then we waited probably 10 years later. Our motto is that we crawl, we walk, we run. And so we waited that long to get the light center that was recorded. Now, the Park and Recreation in Mississippi comes after fire, after roads, and after our Park Police Department. We're the fourth, and we're good at it. That's how we want it to work. So we built that, and then we laid out the park, and we laid out a spot over on this spot that we're talking about tonight for soccer. At that time, high school didn't have soccer field, and we were working hard to get them a soccer field of some kind to take the play on. They went out to the elementary school, and then the pro came over here, and so we had that spot available. We had our soccer program take off then, the junior pro soccer players go to work, and they didn't have a place to play. Well, we got looking at it, and we thought, man, we got infrastructure here that's not being used now. We moved that over to baseball. So we got restrooms, we got parking lot. We can improve our light zone for a reasonable amount of money. And we then moved that designated spot for soccer inside our park down to here and built our soccer complex down here. Okay? So once we did that, that left that open. And since we had this down here for football, more or less in our thinking was that we would swap the space. When it came knowledgeable that junior pro needed to move, we thought, okay, we'll go to this spot down here and do junior pro like we're playing. We went to junior pro forward and them, and we said, okay, we've got this spot, it's available, and our donation in that is the spot. We're not going to put any money in it right now. We may in the future, but right now we're not putting any money. So we started in that process, and we started in that process, and this is where we're currently at on that field. We brought in dirt, brought in the bulldozer, and we got to a point where they had spent $22,800. Okay, of that $22,800, half of that was from their reserve, and then half of that was from donations that they got for field building with the promise that there would be a sign on the fence. So they still have the money in their account for those signs on the fence. At whatever time or place they land, those signs will go up. This was out of the reserve that they had built up through their years of operation. So they put $22,800. We got on in it, and we got about 2/3 through, and we didn't have enough fish. It was going to require more dirt than what was originally thought. And we had kind of went into a premise that we weren't going to do dirt. We were doing the low spots and things like that. And so there was some miscommunication there, which I'm responsible for. And so then I said, okay, we need to stop this here and figure out for sure what we're doing. Okay. So at that point, I pulled the plug, for lack of a better word, and said, we're past the window on sowing grass last year. We're not nowhere near completion on the dirt work. And basically what I understood is we were out of money. Okay. So that's when I pulled the plug on that. So we need to take a look at this. So that's where it's set for a year. In the meantime, junior pro's got to go on. And for this year's season, because they still didn't have a place to play. But Rich Ray and then went to the quarterback club and said, can we do another year at the high school football field? They said yes. They give junior pro stipulation. Junior pro can live with them. They're playing at the high school football this year. So as of right now, we're covered. But a year from now, we've got to either be ready to have a field. I know junior pro next year is hosting the Super Bowl, which is a good deal for them. And if we're going to build a field, it's gotta be this year to be ready for next year. And that's what y'all have, that's the decision before y'all. Now, there's 2 or 3 options on it. If we look at things, from a standpoint of the board, the commission, that y'all can consider. What we're doing here tonight is we give you those options. And then you want out, talk about how you do, and then at the next meeting, y'all tell me what the next option is. Okay? All right. Option number 1. So, is there a way I can turn this so everybody can see it? All right. Option number 1 is to finish what it started. Okay, that's the dirt that is already there. What we did on that is, I went to a local contractor, and I said, hey, tell me what it would take to finish this. And with that, the bulldozer. And he gave me the price, $32,500. And that includes, the dirt, that would be, original red clay dirt. I think he estimated about another 75 loads, then 25 loads of topsoil, and then the bulldozer work to finish out what we started. And since that time, I've gotten the quarry, and where we had the field, this is going to be a nice visual, where we had the field settled down this way, we decided if we moved it back this way here, then we could finish out more or less, straighten off that field, and use some flat ground that we had up here, and not leave all that dirt down here that we were going to have under the original plan. Okay, with me so far? Any questions so far? Okay. So, he estimated that at $32,500, but he gave me a price on that of $75 a load for red dirt, and it could be cheaper than that. It could be because there's some red dirt close, okay? Then I went to Junior Pro Football. They need a fence around the thing. For one thing, if we're going to build a field, they don't want anybody driving on it, like we got down here by the dumpster cutting donuts. The fence, we got 3 estimates on that. The average of those estimates was $16,000. A scoreboard, which they're required to have, would be $6,000, and then the seed was going to be donated. But that way, we were looking at them and the city doing the labor to put the seed on. I can put the seed on. I've done that for several years. So that would be the cost. You add all that up, it's right at $80,000. Chip, can you add that up?
I didn't get to 80.
Okay, what is it, 60?
Yeah,
Okay,
16 plus 6, right?
yeah.
So that's,
22.
54,500.
All right, so what we were looking at, I thought on that, was if we decided to go that route, that the city, if they chose to, could finish the dirt work. And then Junior Pro would be on, it'd be their responsibility to provide the fence with city approval, which is going to be a fence that we would approve, and the scoreboard and the things like that that are needed. Play ball. Okay? The pros of that call, the pros of that option is number one, is a dedicated space for football. We have supported our leagues in the past, from Dixie Baseball to East Charleston Junior Pro Soccer with some seed money. And we've taken that seed money. In the case of soccer, it was light. I think in the case of potential and things. And so we put a little bit more money in baseball, which quite honestly at that time, it probably now still is our number one sport in Crossland, even though soccer numbers continue to make. The other thing is much the same startup money as other sports that we donated. The city would do the dirt work and the rest would be done by Junior Pro. We set aside some money in budget, and we won't use it unless, of course, y'all approve it. But I don't think that dirt work would take that $32,500 if we got the dirt cheaper, and it might be something that we can use some of our own personnel to do the bulldozer rather than hire the bulldozer done. Okay. And we're going to be doing a bulldozer down there some in the next month for sure anyway, because we can't mow it right now. It's rocky. We got to get to where we can mow it because it's right in the middle of the park. So there'll be some bulldozing down there, so if you see that, don't say, I'm sorry, sucker spent that $30,000 and we're gonna get him, you know, that's what the bulldozing is about, get it before we can mow it. Tommy's having his safety day down there this week, and if we don't go that route, we want to make sure that field is available for things like trunk or treat, safety days, and things like we use. The cons of that is it's a dedicated space. That's used in for football and nothing else, and there's a fence around it. It's right out in the middle of the field. The safety day would probably have to find someplace else, or for treat would have to move out of its location or whatever. So the dedicated space is a double-edged sword. Okay. The other con of that is we haven't discussed anything about the additional infrastructure that goes to a football field that's dedicated to football field, like a press box, concessions, restrooms for that spot. Obviously, little Johnny ain't gonna walk all the way up that hill to go to the restroom. He's gonna want to stop down there pretty close. Things like bleachers, we've already got bleachers that we can shift around from baseball to there during that time of year that it's used. If you go to Portland, they're basically lawn chairs and a press box. That's all they've got. But there is some more money that would have to be spent somewhere, either by junior pro football or by y'all if you chose to do it. Okay? So that's all about that option. Any questions? All right, moving on. Another option is field one. Is the big area that we originally dedicated to high school baseball, is sitting there. It's got grass, it's got restrooms, it's got concession stands and things like that. It's a big area. It would lay in there kind of odd, but it would lay in there and things. Okay, so that's another option that we got. The pros and cons of that. Well, the pro was obviously much of the infrastructure that's needed would be in place, like fences and restrooms and things like that. The cons are, is right now, trending, our football numbers are down. I think that's pretty well safe to say that nationwide football is taking a licking right now because of contact. That's not anything new or different from our league. We only have the best equipment, and we're glad that we do. But the numbers are down from some of that. And the baseball numbers, it seems like everybody is tired of travel ball, and our baseball numbers are back up. So we're moving in a direction where, you know, football could be down, baseball could be up. And will we need that field then for baseball, or is there a way that we could do a combination of football and baseball? I know Dixie Youth has expressed an interest that even if we did football out there, that we could still have a small place for a small field of baseball up at the front of it, moving some fencing around and things like that. When I say our Dixie numbers are up, most of our Dixie numbers are up in the younger leagues. When a kid gets to be about 12, 13, he's playing middle school, he doubles us. When a kid gets to be about 10, he's pretty sure he's the next coming of Ty Cobb, and he goes to play travel ball somewhere, and maybe comes back and plays with us. So our numbers are in our small league, which would fit itself into a small field on field one. Here's the rub. No matter what we go, Dixie owns all concession equipment. So how does that work then if somebody else is using it, be it football, be it us, or be it anybody, they're depreciating Dixie equipment. And Dixie then at some point will have to replace equipment. And they've been, I think y'all agree, they've been generous about doing that with everybody. But the fact, plain and simple, is it does depreciate equipment. You got so many pops in a popcorn machine. You got so much in an ice cream machine, and then you're done. So we've got to look in at that time. Would we furnish equipment? Would we not? Would Dixie work out an arrangement with whoever used it? Would they not? And how would that arrangement work? As I said a while ago, there is a huge rock in left field. I mowed down there yesterday, and it's like dying on the septic tank. There's still one more big sucker out there. And we'd either have to fry it out or do something, because you can't land on it. And it's pretty good size rock. And I don't think it's around anywhere where there's, in left field, there's no electric lines or anything like that through there that we have to worry about. But it'd be some construction to it. And there'd be some construction that would go along with putting the field in and, making sure the grass. Right now, junior pro football practices on those fields, during the fall, and they share them with travel ball teams and practice that are composed of our kids. If you haven't been down there, I was down there last night, that place was rocking and full. And I don't know what junior pro football is doing. Their numbers may be down on players, but the cheerleader numbers are out the roof. And I've never seen so many cheerleaders in my life. There's a bunch of them. They were practicing all over and out and things like that. So it does my heart good to see people down there. And there's a bunch of people down there last night. Okay? So that's option two.
Yeah, that was option.
Any questions? All right. Moving on. Where's my wife? Okay. The next option is stay at the high school where they're at now. That would have to be some negotiation that went on between junior pro and the high school. I haven't been in that relationship. I don't know where it's at. I know that there's some pros and cons there. Let's get into that. The first issue, or the first pro, is no maintenance. Man, I've done high school football fields for 10 years. Everything from mowing to fertilizing to, as a parent, striping on Thursday night before a Friday night game. That requires a lot of volunteers. That requires a lot of money. And quite honestly, if junior pro goes to their own field, one of their costs is going to have to be a paint machine. You can't paint a football field with spray cans unless you've got a rich uncle somewhere that's wanting to give it away. Spray cans are $90 a box for 6 cans, and they don't go anywhere on the field. We do soccer with them, we do baseball field with them, but that's basically some lines here and there. And on football, you got 1 every 5, and then hash ticks and everything else. So it's a big job to paint the field on Thursday night, plus the mowing and the maintenance and things like that. The grass we're talking about, a football field that we would build, is not going to be renewed because we don't have any way to irrigate it. The grass we're talking about on something like us would be a tall fescue. It would show traffic. By the end of the season, it'd be pretty pretty. And it won't mow with a half inch and sustain like a Bermuda field will. It will have to be about 2.5 inches, which most coaches want to field be short face. Our football field is one of the best around, but Jason Young takes care of it, and he's kicked it. And that would be one thing that we wouldn't have to worry about if we stay at the high school. The other thing I really do like is program continuity, is what I call it. I love the fact that kid that's playing junior pro football on Saturday at the high school field is playing on the field that he's going to play on in high school. I know the private school that I was associated with went out and got DuPont Hadley to play their fields, to play their games on our field, much to my chagrin as a field keeper, because he wanted him to come see the facility there. And hopefully one that way some of those stood would roll into their states. That resulted in 4 state championships. So there's some continuity in that about playing on the field that you're going and you're there on. It's just exciting. You know, it's an 80-yard field instead of 100, but it's actually the cons, the concessions, which is a large part of junior pro revenue. The agreement, and this is not to say that this agreement would be that in the future, but the agreement that they worked out now is that they would pay $500 for a Saturday. If I get this wrong, you correct me. If they pay $500 for a Saturday, that they would supply 6 people for the concession stand during the 4 home games that the high school has during the fall. We only had 4 this year. That they would keep the gate and they would provide the restrooms and all that. So that would be there. But a lot of how they do that is with concession revenue. Well, that was part of the rub in the first agreement was the concessions, because when you think about it, the high school stocks their concession stand, and then junior pro, there was bookkeeping that went on there that you know, how do we use 6 bags of chips, reimburse for 6 bags of chips, things like that. It's just a lot of paperwork that's hard on both sides to keep up with it. So the concessions, I would think, are probably the thing that is difficult. Now, the way the agreement is now, the junior pro doesn't use the high school concession stand. They set up a concession stand in the softball field, concession stand down there, so they basically use their own stuff in a concession stand down there that's not being used during that season. Okay, another con is less autonomy. You're sharing a field. It's a relationship. You can switch with that whatever you want to, but you know, the high school has expectations. The high school expects 6 people in the concession stand on Friday night. Junior pro has expectations. They want a banquet at the end of the year, and they want money enough to do it. They will make sure their helmets are updated and everything's first class. So there's some give and take there that would have to be worked out between both places. The other thing is that right the way it's set up, there's no place really for junior pro signage. You know, they promised some folks to sign it, and they're gonna have to deliver on that at some point. Where does that junior pro signage go? Now, if junior pro did something like buy a concession trailer, you put signage on the concession trailer. But there's gotta be some thinking done about where that signage can go. And the other thing is they still require space for practice, which would be baseball. But again, that concession trailer, you can put a concession trailer on and sell out of that. The biggest rub for staying at the high school, quite honestly, is that there's been $22,800 investment already. That's dirty. I'm not going to get into that for it. So, you know, there's some money there that they've taken and they've invested in that program that's there. I don't have an answer to it. I don't know what that means. Can we help them with that, or I don't know. That's up to y'all. It's not. But I will tell you that's already there. It's in place. All right. Any questions on that option? Okay. Last option. Do nothing. You're well in your rights to do nothing. Junior pro is junior pro. We support it. We want to continue to support it. And you can choose to say, guys, this ain't our problem. If we do that, then we're putting a big burden on them to have a football program. It could be that they wouldn't have one. We might have to follow it. I don't like that option, but I want to make sure you understand that is an option. And that if you choose that option, then basically you're saying we're not concerned about junior pro, or it's your problem, not our problem, or work it out with the high school, or whatever. I don't know what that answer is, but that is an option. All right, that's all I've got as far as the presentation. I'm glad to answer any questions or be a part of any discussion. Like I said, if y'all choose to ask questions out there of somebody, y'all can recognize them. It's up to you. There's no vote tonight. This is strictly information, so that you've got education. You know what.
Do you have any sense, you mentioned in option one that you think it'll be less than 32.5. Of course, we don't know how much, but do you have any sense, do you think?
Let me apologize, because I'm working off memory, which is pretty well blank slate. But in that email I sent you, there was a pretty good reduction of cost on the red dirt. About half of what the price he gave me was in that 32.5 on red dirt. He was quoting me at I think $100, $75 to $100 below. I think if we can buy that dirt and get it hauled there for cheaper than that. And I also think that by moving that field from down here to here, that we could take a bulldozer, and Tommy, you might need to help me on this. We could take a bulldozer, move some of this around where our corner off, fill in with the red dirt that we've got. Tommy may know a way to get some back up from that upper side to make it more level. And with that, we could maybe cut that expense in half. And that is a shot in the dark.
No, whole the 32.5?
The dirt part of it.
Okay.
And then if we did that, then we're looking at a rate of, let's just say for discussion purposes, 20 And that's about the same seed money that we did with soccer and, baseball. We did a little baseball.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I think that's in that email, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right, I'll have to go back and look. But it, I mean, obviously, it's 20,000 or 25 is different than 32,500,
Mhm.
so that's quite an improvement.
But that's an
But is
improvement.
there a chance for it to be more than that? Like, I know you're
Well-
hoping that it's less, but is there ever that chance for it to be more?
Well, there's always a chance it could be more. I mean, who knows what the price of diesel and things like that. Right now, there is a ready source of red dirt across the road, and that's a short haul. Now, that source may run out. He may have dug all he's intending to dig. But first thing, if we went that route, that I think we ought to do is get bulldozers in there with one of our people and level out as much as we can to get a space that is more conducive from this spot to this spot. And then you'd have an idea of how much dirt that you needed to finish. And, definitely can probably bring in the same amount of money that he talked about on topsoil. Topsoil is $375 a load. It's expensive. And then we probably go on the road, you roll it all in, roll the rocks down, and so it is right. Would it be the type seal? No. Make type seal. The best playing surface that we could possibly play on is the but we didn't get our own food.
Then we have the fence, but junior pro would be,
Well, what that would do then, in plain language, is that would put the responsibility back on junior pro to raise the money for the fence,
right,
to raise the money for the school board,
right.
to raise the money, if they want a concession stand, to raise the money for the concession stand. We do have restrooms there fairly close. It's not, when we shifted, we moved away from them a little, but they're closer to Portland. I'm not gonna die before I got to Portland, but anyway, they're close enough.
Well, who's here from junior pro? How quickly would you envision if we got this work done? Do you think I'm just asking a question, I'm not throwing any bias towards this, but if we got the field finished and sown this year, do you think you'd have a fence and scoreboard up by the Super Bowl next year? That's the big.
So the team backed out of the Super Bowl this year, so we're actually hosting it this year. But we ain't gonna do it next year.
Oh, okay.
So this will be the easy part to do. The scoreboard is gonna be tricky. We may have to fund for it. Where are you gonna get power for it? That's gotta be dug and trenched in and dropped somewhere.
I heard it come up with poles or whatever.
That's part of
It
it.
shouldn't take much, but
Okay.
Well, with the topsoil.
I think he said
25. I have your email.
Okay.
25 loads of topsoil is $350. 75 loads of red dirt at $250. But of course, that's the number that you think is going to be dramatically less.
I think that would be different.
So that cost was the red dirt total cost was $18,750. So if you could probably, if you move it, take some existing and then get it closer, you might be able to cut that by 10,000 probably. Which puts it more at like 22.5 instead of 32.5.
I had a guy last year that's gonna do it was red clay and topsoil both for 100. But the topsoil was only 20 to 30 loads, or about, I think 18 to 20 loads. But that was gonna be for $100. So I don't know if that's the deal still good or not, but.
Is it sifted?
Mhm.
Maybe somebody better check the gate, and that's just the truck.
That's also coming from one of our sponsors, so he works there, so.
Okay.
This kid has grew up playing, he's in middle school now. But, yeah, it's coming from Bordeaux, so they're eating a lot of the cost.
Yeah. Bordeaux's got a big construction project going on.
You know.
Convert and build one
building concession stand there? Would it be too hard to do that? Like a separate concession stand just for football?
Well, hypothetically, what I would see, what I would envision in that is that you would build, if you go to CCS on Friday night, they have a combination concession stand on the bottom, press box on the top. And, it's one building which makes your electricity easier and things like that. You get your hamburger on the bottom and you listen to the game on top. That's what I do on Friday night.